Good morning, good afternoon, students of Law and Tech. This is Ms. Werner presenting Unit 5, Lesson 8, continuing Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So before we move on, let's review from the last lesson. So by focusing on understanding others, we put ourselves in a stronger position to influence others. And it's important to know your audience. So you want to know things like what their needs are, what they like, what they dislike, what their goals are, where they come from, and using this information to craft our message so that it appeals to our listeners will help us better convince or persuade our listeners to agree with our points, and also feel a stronger connection to us. We also have to be mindful of how we craft our language. So we use persuasive techniques to influence others' opinions. So you guys should have all watched the TED Talk, Why School Should Start Later, to get a sense of what techniques the speaker uses to communicate her point. So some of the things that we see her do is use statistics and facts to support her argument that school should start later. She does a lot of appealing to the emotions of her listeners by sharing what the negative impacts of teens getting less sleep are. She explains the benefits of students getting more sleep, and she even pauses at appropriate times to let information sink in. So things that are shocking or things that, support her point strongly, she'll pause and sort of let it sink into her listeners. She also makes eye contact with her audience. Her tone is pretty consistent throughout her speech. She speaks clearly. She uses hand gestures. So there's a lot of different things that the speaker does in order to appeal to her audience. So these are all the persuasive techniques that you guys have used in your argument writing. Obviously, the most important one is evidence, having strong pieces of evidence to support your message. So last week, I asked you to come to this next class with a topic, an idea for a topic for your persuasive messages. So some examples that are fitting for now are students should always have the choice of going to school or doing remote learning. The government should mandate a complete shutdown to flatten the curve of COVID-19. Rap music does not lead to violence, etc. Any topic that has multiple views, that's controversial, you're free to use. So today you're going to spend time working on gathering information to support your persuasive message. So you don't have to go crazy with this. Your persuasive message is only going to be about 3 minutes long, 2 to 3 minutes long. So you only want to focus on finding about 1 to 2 pieces of evidence to support your argument. You don't have to go crazy. I don't need to know your sources, just sort of like a couple things that help support your message. So here's an example of something I wrote, obviously based on our model topic, which is why school should start later. When I was 14, I remember my mom bursting into the bedroom, turning the lights on, opening the blinds, and singing, "Time to get up." I would pull the covers over my face and try to ignore the bright light and the sound of my mom's voice, but nothing worked. By the time I showered, got dressed, ate breakfast, and left the house, I felt the exhaustion of getting only 6 hours of sleep, and knowing I had a full day of school ahead felt like an impossible feat. Only about 1 in 10 students gets the required 8 hours of sleep per night recommended by doctors and scientists. Because teens are getting so little sleep, they're turning to caffeine and energy drinks, which are proven to be unhealthy even for adults. Studies also show that when students don't get enough sleep, they perform poorly academically and have an increased risk of suffering depressive symptoms. If simply starting school an hour or 2 later can protect our kids from caffeine addiction, depression, and academic failure, isn't it worth considering? So you'll see I color-coded this message. So the yellow, I started with a story, like a personal story, so that I know that this is being read to an audience that consists mostly of teenagers. So I pulled something from when I was a teenager to make a connection to you guys. Then in the blue, you'll see a couple of pieces of evidence that support school starting later. And then I end with sort of posing a question that really only has one answer. So I'm sort of tricking my audience into agreeing with me. So these are just some examples of what you can do, but you definitely want to start with something strong, some kind of hook, then a couple of pieces of evidence, and then close it up with what you're asking of people. So when you've drafted your persuasive message, you're going to be recording your messages. You could use your cell phones, you could use your laptops, whatever you want to use. You're going to present your persuasive message, and you want to present it with confidence. So there are some tips to developing this ability. So knowing your content. So write about something that you know, have good evidence to support your message. Making eye contact. So you're going to have to use your videos for this. I know that you've been avoiding it, but you have to use your videos. You want to speak clearly. You want to stand calm. You don't want to look nervous or, excitable, and use your hands as much as possible. So these are just some things that help you look more confident when you're presenting. Once you record your message, you can either upload it to your Google Classroom or email them directly to your Leader in Me teacher. And you could obviously use my example as a resource to create your own message. Your teachers are going to set up Google Meets for you in case you need any help. You can pop into there. You can email your teachers. You're more than welcome to email me if you need some feedback or some advice on your messages. And these are going to be due the next time that you meet with your Leader in Me classes. So you don't need to spend a ton of time on this. Just do some research, grab a couple pieces of evidence, just a short paragraph, and then the focus is on really presenting it, showing that you understand the importance of knowing your audience, crafting your language, and presenting with confidence. So that's where we're at for today. You can have the rest of the class time to work on this, and I look forward to hearing about all of your persuasive messages. Have a great day.